Hey everybody and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to crochet a miniature version of my big chunky bee. If you love all things crochet and are passionate about the craft, then you have definitely come to the right place. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss out on any of my future crochet videos. So lots of you have been asking for a miniature version of the Chunky Bee, and it wasn't until recently when I saw a comment from Emma asking for a mini bee that I actually pulled my finger out and got it sorted. Now, as I was looking for some black and yellow yarn to be able to make one up, I found in my stash something I made a few years ago. Which is this little tiny bee. Now this guy actually hangs at the bottom of some flowers, and I made him as a little prototype for whatever reason. I can't even remember now, but I wanted to show you this guy. I've reversed engineered him, because I never write things down, to work out how to make a slightly better version here. But I just wanted to show you that you don't have to use safety eyes. They actually look quite adorable when you just use a bead for the eyes. So this guy's a little bit boggly, but I just wanted to show you how different a face can look depending on what materials you use. Speaking of materials, here's what you're going to need to make yourself a little tiny mini bee. All right, first up, you're going to need some yarn. Now, for my little tiny bee, I have used some cotton yarn. To demo, I'm going to be using some blue because obviously black is very difficult to see on camera, but you are, of course, free to choose whatever colors you want your bee to be. Now, for my little tiny bee, I am using a 3.5mm crochet hook, but my advice, as always for amigurumi, is whatever yarn you choose, use a hook that is slightly smaller than recommended on the ball band, because for amigurumi, you want your stitches to be nice and tight. You don't want the stuffing poking through. You're also going to need a pair of scissors, a large eye darning needle for weaving in your ends. You're going to need a stitch marker if you want a little bit of help with the counting. You're going to need a scrap of pink and black for embroidering little face details, and totally optional, but I'll be using 10mm safety eyes on this tiny little chap. But you're free, of course, to use whatever you want. Buttons, beads, smaller eyes, bigger eyes. The world is your oyster. You're also, of course, going to need some stuffing. All right, let's crack on with how you can make yourself your own mini bee. So before we begin, here are a few things you need to know before you attempt amigurumi. First of all, in an ideal world, you need to know how to do a magic ring. You also need to know how to do the single crochet stitch. Links to both those videos are down in the description box below. You also may want to know how to slow the speed of this video if I go too fast for you, and again, a link is in the description box below. So to begin, we're going to start with a magic ring, and into that magic ring, we're going to place 6 single crochet stitches. Once you have your 6 stitches, go ahead and tighten that ring up. You might not want to do it all the way closed just to begin with, purely because you want to be able to get into this first stitch, and tightening that magic ring completely can close that up a tiny bit. So for round 2, we're going to be doing an increase round. So we're going to increase in each one of these 6 stitches. Now an increase is simply 2 single crochet stitches into the same place. So we're going to place 2 single crochet, so an increase into this very first stitch. Then if you're using a stitch marker, mark that first stitch you made of those 2 and tighten up that magic ring if you haven't already done so. Then increase in the remaining 5 stitches. you should have 12 stitches at the end of round 2. Don't forget to count your stitches. Counting is critical for your amigurumi projects. For round 3, we're going to start with a single crochet in that first stitch and mark it. Then we're going to increase into the next, and an increase is 2 single crochet into the same stitch. Single crochet in the next, then increase in the next stitch. Continue this all the way round and you'll have 18 stitches in total. Single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, all the way round. For round 4, we're going to start with a single crochet in the first 2 stitches. Don't forget to mark that very first stitch you made. Then increase in the 3rd stitch. Continue this around, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, all the way round, and you will have 24 stitches by the end of this round. For round 5, we will not be increasing. We're just going to place a single crochet in each one of those 24 stitches. For round 6, we're going to do exactly the same, 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches, but in the very last stitch, we're going to change colour. So that's my 23rd single crochet of the round. I have one more to go, but I want to change colour on that 24th stitch. So bring in your new colour in preparation, and to change colour, simply start your last single crochet stitch, but do not do that final yarn over with yellow. Instead, bring in your new colour, place it over your hook, and draw this through those 2 loops. Then you can cut your yellow yarn, do a simple little knot of these 2 tails. They'll be hidden inside the body of the bee, so you don't need to worry about them. Oops, keep your hook on that loop. Trim them a little if they are going to get in your way. And then you're ready to begin round 7. For round 7 and round 8, it's going to be a repeat of what we've been doing. 1 single crochet in each of your 24 stitches. So go around once for round 7 and then go around again for round 8. At the end of row 8, you should have 2 rows of your secondary colour. Now for row 9, we're again going to repeat going round just with 1 stitch in each colour, but you're going to switch back to the yellow or whatever other colour it is you've chosen for the face of your bee in the very last stitch of round 9. So same again, 1 single crochet in each of those stitches and change colour in the very last one. So my 24th stitch, I'm not going to finish the single crochet. Instead, I'm going to bring in my next colour, lay that yarn over my hook and pull it through. Then you can snip this colour you've been working with and tie off the ends, just as you did before. Now we're going to do 2 more rounds in your secondary colour of 1 single crochet in each of those 24 stitches. So keep going round 2 more times. Once you've completed round 11, lift your hook up, pop your stitch marker in that loop so you don't lose that stitch. And where we've changed colour is going to be the bottom of the bee. So flip him round, and now is a good time, if you're using safety eyes, to pop the eyes in. So you're free to place your safety eyes however you wish. The best thing to do is sort of pop them in, but don't put that backing on until you're happy with the placement. I'm going to try and use this one as a guide. I'll just squash his face down a little bit so I can count the rows back to see where I placed the eyes on the first time round. So I'm counting out my rows, 1, 2, 3, and I can see that I popped my eyes in around about between the 3rd and the 4th rows. So just double check you're happy with the placement if you want him to have a big old forehead. I don't think I'm putting them quite in the same place as I put these ones, but that's the joy of amigurumi. Every single one of them looks different. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn him inside out and put these safety backs on his eyes. And flip him back around. And I like to do the smile and the cheeks once he's stuffed. But you are, of course, free to do that now if you wanted to. But if you're going to wait like I am, go ahead and pop that stitch, that loop, back on your hook. Ready to begin round 12. So for round 12, it is a decrease round. So we're going to start with a single crochet in the first 2 stitches. Mark that first stitch you made. Then we're going to do an invisible decrease worked over the next 2 stitches. So all you need to do is pick up your hook the front loop of the next stitch and the front loop of the stitch after that. Then yarn over and pull that yarn through those 2 front loops. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, then complete your single crochet as normal. Single crochet in the next 2 stitches, then invisible decrease over the next 2. Let's pick up the front loop of the first stitch, front loop of the second stitch, pull your yarn through those loops, then complete your single crochet as normal. So continue this all the way around, single crochet, invisible decrease, and you'll have 18 stitches at the end of round 12. For round 13, we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to be decreasing, but we're also going to change colour immediately in this first stitch. So pop a single crochet in the first stitch, but also change colour on that stitch. So pop your hook in and draw up a loop, then bring in your new colour. And draw that through the loops. Mark that stitch as it is the first single crochet of this round. Now we're going to do an invisible decrease over the next 2 stitches. So pick up the front loop just as you have been and complete your stitch. Now we're going to work single crochet, invisible decrease, single crochet, invisible decrease all the way around, and you'll have 12 stitches at the end of this row. Once you've done your last decrease of the row, pull that loop up and secure it with the stitch marker, because now, before this hole gets completely closed, we're going to stuff our bees. So grab your stuffing and pop it in. Once you're happy with your stuffing, pop that loop back onto your hook. Now this final round, be careful that you don't catch your stuffing. We are going to do invisible decrease in the stitches all the way around, and you'll have 6 stitches remaining. So 6 invisible decreases. Once you've done your 6th invisible decrease, you want to cut your yarn and pull it through. Now grab your large eye needle. You want to thread up this tail, and this is your last chance to pop any more stuffing in this little chap. You can squish it in through that tiny hole and use the end of your crochet hook to put it down if you wanted to. So what we're going to do is we're going to run our needle around the outside loop of these final 6 stitches. Then pull it tight and it will cinch that hole closed. Now, if you want to be quite aggressive, you can really pull it and stretch it if you're using cotton, and then he's got a little tiny stinger. Now with this yarn, you want to go back in to the body of the bee and draw your needle out somewhere along the line. It gives him a tiny mini stinger if you want to. Then we're going to weave this end in and hide it in the body. Now I like to try and follow some of the stitches of the same colour, just to disguise your tail. And once you're happy with your end being woven in, bring it up through the other stripe, pull it taut, trim it, and that end should fling back into the body. So now's the time to give him a little face. Don't forget, you've got your colour changes underneath, so turn it this way. I seem to have given my little fella a massive forehead, but I'm okay with that. So we're going to go ahead and embroider his little face now. So for the mouth, you want to come in from the side and pop out where you want the mouth to start. Now you're probably going to draw some stuffing through, don't worry, because you can always pull that back later. Now leave the tail out, hanging out the side. Then take a straight line over to where you want his smile to finish. Then, because we're looking at him this way round, you want to bring your needle up just underneath if you want him to have a smile. So I'm just going to rotate him and bring my needle up just underneath. Don't pull that completely taut just yet. You want to bring your needle underneath that loop and then go back into that exact same place that you came from. And draw your needle out on the other side. This should secure his little smile down as you pull it. Like so. Once you're happy with his little face, oh, I pulled that one a bit too tight. Let's lift this up fractionally. There we go. Once you're happy with the smile you have given him, you take this yarn back over to that original side where you first started. I'm going back into the same stitch I came from every time. Just going to work my way over there. And come out on that same area. So you're hiding the tail in the body. I'm going to do a very small loose knot, these two ends. Then take these ends and bring them out somewhere else. Go back into that same stitch and pop out somewhere else on his body. You should pull that knot inside his flesh. Same with the other tail. Go back into that same stitch, run off in a different direction, pop out, then trim these ends. If you pull them slightly taut, they should ping back into the body. Now do his cheeks in a very similar fashion. For the cheeks on this little chap, I've given him 2 strands underneath each other. And then if your yarn is long enough, you can pop up underneath the other eye. If not, you can always, of course, do this on each side individually. So I've brought my needle out right by the first tail, and the same again, I'm going to knot them, pull them back into the body, just like we did for the black. Now all he needs is his wings. So with your white yarn, make a magic ring. And into this magic ring, I'm going to place 8 single crochet stitches. Then chain 1 and leave a long tail for sewing. Snip it, pull that through the stitch, pull it tight, and then gently pull your magic ring together. You should have a little semicircle for a wing. Repeat that again for the second wing. Then we can place these little wings on his body. So for this little chap, I placed them right next to each other on top of his head. For my original prototype, I had them a little bit further apart. So it is completely up to you where you want to place these wings. Use the tail from the magic ring itself. Thread that onto your needle. And that can be the placement marker. So if I want his first wing around about there, I'm going to just draw this straight down the middle and out the bottom of his body. So that's the first wing, and do the same for the second. And ideally draw it out at the same place, but don't worry too much if you don't. Then you can use your tails to sew those little wings into place. Again, when you're done, draw this down to the bottom, your final tail. They're only tiny wings, they don't need much securing. I'm just popping a couple of stitches in mine. You can, of course, be a lot more careful with your sewing. Then do exactly the same thing with the knot and hide the tails within the body. Give him one little final squish back into shape and you are done. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and I hope you enjoy making your little tiny mini bees. I'd absolutely love to see any pictures of mini tiny bees that you make. I've linked to all my social media in the description box down below so you can find me there and tag me. So until next time, happy crocheting. Bye.